Let's see. After my 6th grade year at Goose Creek Elementary School, Goose Creek, South Carolina, I started middle school at a middle school up the road called Howe Hall. I hated going to Howe Hall Middle School. I really didn't like being in South Carolina much at all, generally. My years there were a bit turbulent. Not the most memorable, well, not the ones that I enjoy remembering most, but nevertheless, at Howe Hall Middle School in the 7th grade, I had these teachers. I had Mrs. Preleau. It's kind of a French name. She taught us math, spelling, and reading. After her, I had Mr. Cox, C-O-X. He taught us English. After that, I had Mr. Wright, who taught us history. And after that, Mr. Smith, who taught us life science. Later in the year, I began taking band, and I had Mrs. McBride for a band teacher, and so I had to leave my English class taught by Mr. Cox a little early so that I could go to band, and I always got back to Mr. Wright's class a little late. Anyway, also later in the year, Mr. Cox resigned and was replaced by Mrs. Wichman. So the school day there went as follows. Get to school, start off with Miss Preleau, after her, Mr. Cox, and then on my band days, I'd have band, and then followed by history with Mr. Wright, and then science with Mr. Smith. And I forget how the PE schedule went, but we had Mr. Sanders for a PE teacher. I want to throw this in, I enjoyed Miss Preleau most of all. I thought she was a terrific math teacher. But that's not the only thing I remember her for. I remember her also because if you didn't do the homework she assigned to you, you got 5 licks with a paddle. Back then they could do that. One of the students in the class made her a paddle of oak, wood oak, okay? And she was a tall, slim lady and had a small wrist. But I tell you what, there wasn't a boy in that class that she could not make cry. And I saw several people cry. And, you know, if you didn't do 3 assignments, you got 5 licks for each assignment that you didn't do. And I saw one girl start really crying, you know, and she still had 10 more licks to go. And Miss Preleau wouldn't let up. You would get whatever you deserved. But overall, the year wasn't all that bad academically for me, but socially, it's another story, and I've covered that on another video already. But anyway, that was my 7th grade year. I'll talk about my 8th grade year in my next video. Take care.